And now, introducing tonight's main attraction. It's the Never Beens podcast.
I'm just saying
We are back.
There's nothing like one or two beers just to get the creative interview juices flowing. So
I'm drinking water, people. I'm hydrating at 3:30 on a midweek day.
It's the end of the week. It's Thursday, so
it is.
Thursday for Glenn.
That's exactly right. It's a good day to have. It's a good day to have a happy hour. Welcome back, everyone, to the Never Beens. Shout out Connor Floyd again for the intro. Love that. Appreciate that. Chance Chancellor. Again, we've got part 2 of our interview with Luke Kuechly coming up. Going to hear a little bit about his story, where he comes from, and then got some great listener interaction, some questions coming at the end of the interview. So, Burst.
Random fans. Random people submitted these. It'll be good. All right, Luke. What we did, Glench and I told our kind of growing up football stories from whatever, kid to high school to recruiting to college to pro, right? The whole process. We also had Baker on. He did the same thing. So we'd love to hear kind of your story. We mentioned it earlier. You're from Cincinnati, but I mean, you could tell us some talking points from that whole timeline.
Yeah. So grew up Cincinnati, grade school, high school. Cincinnati, started playing in 4th grade for St. Xavier Golden Bears.
St.
Xavier, S-A-V-I-E-R. Xavier.
Oh, really?
Oh.
One of the Catholic schools.
Didn't you go to St. X? So it's a completely
St. Xavier with an S. We'll get to St. X in a little bit.
Well, I'm not that dumb, okay, for the listeners.
Yeah, so I played grade school football from 4th grade to 8th grade with the St. Xavier Golden Bears. So it was St. Xavier, and then the school that we played with was a different school for, I think, 7th and 8th grade, and then got to St. Xavier. They can throw the X up now, Burst. That was
like Dez.
Yeah, it was an all-boys school, all-boys Jesuit Catholic school. So we had like 15 to 1,600 boys at the school. And the football program was gigantic. So our freshman year, we probably had 135 kids on the team.
What?
And then sophomore year, JV year, it was probably 80 to 90. And then
varsity. We did a bunch of kids out freshman year?
Freshman year, a bunch of kids didn't come back. And then sophomore year, there was probably 80 to 90 kids. And then varsity was primarily only juniors, seniors, and that had another 120 to 130 kids on it.
Wow.
So my freshman year, last day of training camp, I broke my foot doing a bag drill. I was going over bags, popped my 5th metatarsal, so that was awful. And then so I was out for the first few weeks. Actually, it wasn't even the last day of training. It was like the first day we were at practice, first day of high school football practice.
You're embarrassing.
Broke my foot.
This is reminding me of your coaching career with the little kids.
Yeah,
you aren't prepared for.
Oh my God, you're such an idiot. You are truly a dipshit.
So then I had to wear a boot around the rest of training camp. In the first few weeks of the season, I didn't play at all because my foot was messed up. And then, so my freshman year of football, I only really got to play half the season, so that was kind of a bummer. And then my sophomore year, I played linebacker, and my sophomore year, they moved me to tight end. Because we had absolute horses at linebacker, big and athletic and strong. I'm like, yeah, you're probably not going to play. So go play tight end and try to block people. So I played tight end, and it was fun. I had a good time with it, but I always wanted to get back on the defensive side of the ball. And I remember this was in the spring of my sophomore year, going right before summer started. And I remember our head football coach came up to me in the hallway and said, hey, do you want to play defense again? And I was like, absolutely. So that's when I slid back on the defense side of the ball my junior year. I played outside linebacker. Our team was really good that year. The seniors on that roster were unbelievable. We had, I think out of our 22 starters, I think 20 or 21 of them played college sports. So we had guys that played, I would say probably 18 of them played football. We had a couple guys play baseball. A lot of Ivy League school kids, a couple kids at Louisville, a couple kids at University of Cincinnati, and then Columbia, Penn, Brown,
A lot of nerds.
A lot of smart kids. A lot of smart kids. Chris. You probably wouldn't have played at our school.
Smart kids that can knock your ass out if you try to run over the middle.
Probably.
Burst would have been handing water out. But anyways, my junior year, we were 15-0. We won the state championship, so we had some really good players on our team. So that kind of helped my recruiting a lot. I was a young kid on the roster, but we had a lot of really good players. So there's coaches always watching tape and watching our games, and that helped me a lot. Kind of started getting recruited, I guess would have been the spring of junior year. And then going into the season of my senior year, I got a little bit bigger. I switched and played safety my senior year. It was like a rotational safety. So it wasn't like a pure middle of the field safety. I was kind of a rotational guy. I was cleaning the ball a lot. It was a sweet spot. And I started getting recruited. My goal always was to go somewhere I wouldn't be able to get into without football. So BC obviously fit that mold. I wasn't a sterling student by any measure of the imagination, but
who else was recruiting you?
I looked at, so the schools that I really looked at hard were BC, Duke, Stanford, Virginia. Those are the schools that it came down. I thought that, obviously Stanford, Duke, Virginia, BC, high-end academic schools, like definitely not getting in any of those schools without football. And then Wisconsin just was like a sweet Big Ten school that I just always kind of liked it. Like I like how they played. I like the atmosphere at Camp Randall. Sick. It was a cool spot. I never took a visit there, but I went to Boston College and I kind of knew like BC is probably going to be a good spot for me. We had a lot of kids from my high school from St. X that went to Boston College. So there's two guys there when I was playing that were BC guys. One kid came in when I was a junior, and now he's the defensive coordinator at BC. So for I would probably say the last 25 to 30 years, we've had a kid from my high school be part of the football program, player, coach, something along those lines. So that's kind of how I ended up getting to BC was I wanted to go to an academic school. When I was being recruited, Matt was there. They were balling. They were playing really well. They beat Virginia Tech at Lane Stadium in the rain. It was awesome.
I remember that game.
Yeah. Then I got up to BC, and I remember I was like, all right, well, I'm excited. I'm playing college football. And then that spring, I was at the spring game, and Mark Herzlich, who was all-world as a junior, wasn't practicing during the spring. Like for whatever reason, they kept saying like, oh, his hamstring or his back is messed up. Like,
did you graduate early? Sorry.
Yeah, I left school early. I left college early.
What was your high school graduating class?
2009. So G and I were the same year, and then Burst a year older.
Yep. Okay.
So I'm like, all right. So when I signed my recruiting letter or whatever, I was like, all right, boom. They got Mark Herzlich. Mike McLaughlin was a fifth-year senior coming back, gangster. He was a stud, great dude, but he was the starting Mike linebacker. Like it wasn't even a question. He was coming back from an Achilles, but they're like, he's gonna be back like week 3. Like we're not worried about it. And then they had like 5 or 6 other guys that were gonna fill that weak side linebacker role. So I was like, all right, perfect. Like I'll go in there as a freshman. I'll learn from Mac and Mark and figure it out. And then all of a sudden, they call after the spring game. This is like, I don't know, June or whatever, May, June. And they're like, hey, Mark has cancer. I was like, oh my gosh, like, is he all right? He's like, yeah. He's like, he's going to be okay, but he's going to have to get treatment, blah, blah, blah. So he's not going to play this year. But he's going to be around. So like that opened up another spot. And then I got to training camp. We had a guy get hurt during training camp. And then we had a guy that failed a drug test. And then before I know it, I was in the middle of training camp at a practice one day, and we were doing inside run, and they had like 2 sections of inside run. It was like varsity inside run of all the older guys and like grown men. And then it was like the idiots, like all the young guys trying to figure out how to play football. I didn't know where to line up. I didn't know what defense we were playing. I was just like, I'm just going to try to run to the ball and see what happens. And so I'm over there, I'm getting my teeth caved in by these like sophomore offensive linemen that have had like a full year of weight training, and they're just killing me. And they're like, hey, Kuechly, get over here. And the one guy just hurt his shoulder, so they threw me in on inside run against all like the seniors. And I was like, yeah, what do you want? They're like, all right, you're playing Mike linebacker. I weigh 218 pounds.
Did you still have a high voice at that point?
Yeah, I weighed 218 pounds. I probably had my glasses on and my helmet. And they ran like load power. They ran like fullback lead, and they ran like weak side counter. And I was just getting my skull caved in. And I remember our coach came up to us after the period. He's like, "You better figure this out. We're playing in 2 weeks, and you're gonna have to play Mike linebacker because we have no one else." And so my freshman year, I just like the first game we played Northeastern, I think, and we just I didn't really have to do anything because our defensive line just mauled them. So like I could just kind of clean guys up and tackle them. And then we played Kent State or something like that. And then we played Clemson in Death Valley. And I didn't know what speed was until we played. It was CJ Spiller and Jacoby Ford.
Yep.
And they looked like they were running Mach 5 everywhere.
What year was that?
That was 2010. No, 2009 football season.
We played at Death Valley in 2011, I guess. And they had
Taj,
everybody and Sammy Watkins,
Watkins,
DeAndre Hopkins,
Ellington,
the running back, Daquan Bowers,
Andre Ellington, yep.
Martavis Bryant.
All of them had an explosive touchdown, and we almost won. They all had
like trying to go tackle those guys. Remember they had that guy Dwayne Allen, the tight end. That guy was a monster,
big and could run like a horse. Yeah,
they just bulldogged us, and I started to kind of figure out slowly what college football is all about. I was like, "Oh, this is fine." And then I get an inside run and get my face caved in. And then they run like toss sweep to CJ. I like have 2 games where I think I'm like, "Oh, now I'm a sick college football player." And then we go to Death Valley and they run toss, and CJ Spiller just runs Mach 5 and just totally outruns my angle. and then it was good for me because I learned fast, like this is what plays, this is what doesn't play, this is what you need to do, this is how you need to align. Like in high school, I was like, I'm just going to line right here. This is fine.
Yeah.
And then I would just do that in college. And then the guy would run. I didn't even give myself a chance. And our coach would be like, "Why are you lined up there?" And I was like, "I don't know." And he's like, "Well, that's your problem." He's like, "You need to line up in the right spot because there's a reason we put you there, and there's a reason why, and this is why. And now you've seen it. So either you fix it or you're going to keep making the same mistake and you're not going to play." So then that was the first 3 weeks was like I was playing Mike backer, and then Matt comes back, and then that was against Wake Forest, and then I slid out and played. I played. I didn't start that game because somebody was already playing Will, and he was having a pretty good year. And then I just played all special teams that year and got some snaps playing Will. And then kind of after that week, they just bumped me back over to Will, and I played Will full time my freshman year, and then going into my sophomore year, they're like, "Hey, you're going to play Mike backer." And I was like, "Thank God." My skill set fits way more for a Mike backer of cover tight ends, run inside out to the ball. Don't have to I want to avoid being in space. I'm not a space guy at all. Get me out of space. Running backs scare me. I don't need to be on the backside of anything. That's not for me. So they move into inside backer, and that really helped me out. So that was sophomore year. Junior year went really well. I remember I was thinking about coming out that year, and there was 4 guys that were coming out that year that who was going to go play, who's going to get drafted first. So it was Manti, Dante Hightower, and Bobby Wagner. And then Levante was a Will. So I knew I wasn't a Will. And then I remember Manti decided he was going to come back. So I was like, all right, you can scratch him off the list. And then I was like, well, the team that's going to draft me isn't going to draft Dante, and the guy that drafts Dante isn't going to draft me because he was 3'4", big monster, and I was a 4'3" guy. So it was it kind of turned into all right, Bobby and I for who is going to get drafted first. And then lo and behold, I ended up training with Bobby for the combine. He was freaking awesome. And then I remember right before the combine, he got sick. He got really sick with nothing bad, but he just got really sick for whatever reason and couldn't go to the combine. And fortunately for me, I went to the combine, had a good combine. And so they could see me and whoever else, but they didn't see Bobby, which I think quite honestly helped me a little bit. Because if he would have been at the combine, I think he's big, he's super long, and he ran like low 4.4s. And I think things just kind of happened in my favor where I ended up in Carolina because I think if Bobby goes to the combine and they see him run and they see he gets measured at the combine in front of everybody and people interview him because he's a stud, like you guys all know his career. He's not a guy that he's always been super athletic, but the reason he's been in the league so long is because he's smart. Like he understands the game. He knows where to be. He's consistent. He's healthy. He's a great leader. Like I think some stuff in my career has just really helped me and worked out for me. So
Yeah.
Goddamn. I was just envisioning you on Seattle's defense.
Yeah.
That would have been something.
Yeah.
Glad it did that.
Well, I think it worked out okay. I mean,
it was great. I think I ended up in the perfect place for me.
Yeah.
With the coaches and the guys on the team and everything. It was perfect. And Bobby's had a freaking awesome career. I think
no doubt.
Bobby's getting in right away as soon as he decides he doesn't want to play football anymore. So
as are you.
Maybe just Pop Warner. Maybe just a Pop Warner. I have a Pop Warner
Pop Warner Coaching Hall of Fame.
Where's that located?
I'll be the Pop Warner like teach tape of like what not to do.
Definitely in the offseason.
All right. Yeah, sure. Real quickly, I know, unfortunately we don't have all the time in the world. I would like to know real fast. You talked a little bit about learning the game of college football. Tell us about, like, as a player, your weekly prep from your side of the ball. What are you looking for? The types of things that made you so good.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of it was you try to look at I was a big formation guy. Why do guys line up where they line up?
Yeah.
That was one of my in final formation too. So like formationally, that's kind of what I looked for because everybody can motion and shift and zoom motion and if it's 2x2 slot and then they zoom motion to 3x1, boom. Like only thing that you need to worry about is I don't care that it's 2x2, it's 3x1 because he's going to run across formation majority of the time. But during the week for me, it was like Mondays I'd watch 2 first halves of games. So I didn't ever watch really the second half when I was getting started because I wanted to know what they were. I wanted to know what teams were when they started the game. Like regardless if they get out early or if they're behind or if they're changing I want to know what they think about going in the first half of the game. So I'd watch 2 first halves and get a feel for like if we were like say we were playing the Panthers, right? And I was watching us, I would just kind of click through and watch a tape for an hour or so and be like, all right, well, quarterback, big, athletic, all the throws, energy, can get outside the pocket, problem, right? And then you'd go like, all right, boom, let's get their offensive line. And I'd be like one guy that would give me a lot of problems would be Ryan Khalil, like smart, savvy, vet, athletic, powerful, strong. Like he's going to get up to second level. Like I got to get creative with how I beat him because he's got all these tricks. Boom. Okay. Now I go inside out. Okay. Now I got to, where's Greg line up? Like, what is he like running? When am I going to have to deal with him? When does he cause me stress? When can I make a play? Like that kind of stuff. And then receivers, I do the same thing with receivers. And then obviously Stu, like, how am I going to attack the running back when this guy has the ball? Right. Am I going to hit him high? I'm going to hit him low. Like, what's his, like, is he a stiff arm guy? Is he a shape guy? Is he a put a shoulder down guy? And then just like overall scheme of what teams are doing. So like that was Monday. And by the end of Monday, after like an hour and a half or whatever, you could be like, all right, boom, like concepts, how they want to play, skill positions, personnel, like got a good feel for them. Boom. Then Tuesday was after practice and everything, I'd watch all the run games. So first and second down runs, like, are they a formation team? Are they a personnel team? Like, what do they want to do in the run game? And then you can break all that down by, formations, personnel groupings, situations. I was always very cognizant of like who teams are playing. So if we're watching tape and we're watching the Saints and they are playing a 5-down bear front or a 3-4 spacing, their run game is going to look drastically different than if they're playing a 4-down team, right? So I was very cognizant of all that stuff because I knew that they're going to line up and play a different kind of football. And then I'd watch a game after all that. So you'd watch all the run game and then you'd watch a game to kind of see how everything fits. And that way you could kind of call your defenses within that game. So on Wednesday, you'd already pretty much have the first and second down game plan. So I could go in there on Wednesday, have meetings with the coaches, have meetings with, after practice, have practice, watch my tape in the run game, and then boom, have a pretty good feel for what we want to do on the defensive side of the ball, what they do. So boom, I'm watching that game. I'm like, all right, 1st and 10, boom, top call it, boom, call it. See how I fit, talk my alignment, kind of run through stuff in my head. Thursday, I'd watch 1st and 2nd down, drop back pass. And then do the same thing at night. And then Fridays, I'd watch specials. So say we were playing the Panthers and all right, boom, we're going to have a lot of quarters this week. You're either going to have a matchup with Olsen or you're going to have a match in 3x1. You're going to have a matchup with McCaffrey in 2x2. Like, what do they like doing? How do they get this stuff? How do they run routes? Are they a stem guy? Are they a push off guy? Does his speed scare me? Does his quickness scare me? Like, where do I got to make sure that I'm smart?
Yeah.
And then I'd always review on Saturdays, just like my notes and stuff that I took during the week. And then by Sunday, I just kind of read through everything for like 5 minutes and then go play.
You got the whole picture by that point.
Yeah. You got to have a pretty good feel, but you also can't watch too much where you like slow yourself down,
Yeah. That's, very interesting stuff coming from the other side. Just because it's so different. And I think we talked about this a little bit earlier, last episode. So now when you're playing a coach like Shanahan, do you have to be wary of not your preparation working against you, but just being too dialed into certain tendencies? Like, okay, did you ever find yourself chasing ghosts? I know that plays into over preparing, but
no.
Okay, Shanahan could do this.
I think that gets more difficult if you're a coordinator and you're calling plays versus when I'm playing, I just play whatever my rules are.
Yeah. Okay.
Like whatever my rule says to do and whatever my natural feel says to do is what I do.
Yeah.
So like they're going to zoom, but like, boom, when they zoom now I know, boom, I just got to bump.
Okay.
If they go zoom, it's like, all right, well, off their zoom, they've got zone, screen, trap. All right, boom. Now I just get my key and go. But those guys will scheme me up a little bit, but I try not to worry about that too much because I just try to go play my game and like read my keys, do my job, like play my rules.
So that's how
play my feel.
All this essentially is how you were able to ruin practice for me every time I get in there and go against you guys.
Burst would just give me the call sheet. So when you're in, I knew what was going on. He's trying to make himself look good.
No, I was in there just
watch its power. Watch the screen every time. I'm like, well, all right, well, we're running a screen here, so we're fucked.
Making TD and Cap's life a living hell. Well, that's a good transition. Glance into the next segment, the dime sesh, named after,
sesh, which is today presented by Shinerbach.
Ooh,
a little Texas beer.
That's right.
No free ads, but I guess we are doing free ads.
There's no ads, period. So
yeah, dime sesh name comes from Glanch tearing up the Panthers starting and I guess other teams that you also dimed up
one time. All right, real quick, little 10-pack of questions. Burst, lead us off.
All right, Luke, it's a quick 10 banger questions for you. Get to know you a little bit better. All right. Go to fast food. So you're on a road trip, pull off the interstate, you got all the bangers available. I want breakfast and lunch. What's your go-to? Where are you stopping?
Chick-fil-A.
For both?
I think so. I'm going to go Chick-fil-A for both.
All right, good. Favorite drink / cocktail?
Martini.
Ooh, yeah.
What kind?
Shaken martini up with a little twist of lemon.
Love that.
Straight.
Vodka or gin?
Vodka.
Ooh.
Vodka martini.
Love that. James Bond, like. Go-to meal to cook for a date.
I'll make a key lime pie. It's super easy. It's the easiest thing ever. It sounds complicated, but it's super easy.
It's really good.
Need the recipe after this then.
I would like to make pizza in that little pizza oven.
The uni?
Yeah.
The uni. I would make a pizza in the uni.
Do you have an uni?
Yeah, I do. It doesn't really mix
awesome
with
are those?
A key lime pie, but yeah.
It plays.
Okay, favorite vacation spot?
Oh man. if I could go anywhere right now, I went on a ski trip last year for the first time. That was a lot of fun because I never skied when I was playing. And we went out to Vail and skied for 3 days, and it was freaking awesome. I can't wait to go back. It was unique because it was the first time I've ever done. Like I've been to beaches and mountains and whatever, but this was cool because it was something I've never done before at that time of the year in the mountains, and it was beautiful out there. We had a beautiful 3 days of skiing. It was sweet.
Okay. Favorite movie?
Somebody asked me that the other day.
And what'd you say?
I was thinking about it.
Did you answer them, or are you thinking about?
No, I was still thinking about it. I'm trying to think of recent ones that I've watched. I've been on a Disney movie kick. Have you seen Ratatouille?
Oh my gosh, Glenn talks about Ratatouille all the time. I've never seen
it. There's a good chance that Gilberts dress up as Ratatouille characters for Thanksgiving or for Thanksgiving.
I think that's a good one. That's that's just like a good movie. It makes you watch that movie, and at the end of the movie, you're just like, that was a good movie.
No doubt.
I need to watch it.
Makes you smile.
First car, and what do you drive now?
First car I ever drove was a Saturn Vue. That was my first car, a little SUV. And the car that I drive now is the car that I bought when I got here as a rookie. It's a GMC Yukon.
Old girl, baby.
Old girl. She's rolling.
It is swagger.
Baller. She's a little dinged up, but she's still holding strong.
She's still rolling. 4 wheels. All right. There's a couple parts to this one. What was your favorite stadium to play in, college and pro?
Okay.
And then favorite away game city to play at?
Okay, we'll exclude Bank of America. I think, and we'll start in college, obviously. I thought playing at Clemson was sick.
Yeah.
We played there twice, and it was awesome. That was cool. I grew up, and everyone in Cincinnati is a Notre Dame fan. We played at Notre Dame twice at night. That was sick.
I bet that's awesome.
Favorite home state or favorite stadium in the NFL? I mean, Lambeau and Soldier Field are cool. We played at Candlestick. That was sick. And then playing in Seattle is a great environment. And then I think playing in New Orleans also crazy environment. So those were some, like, when I think of big ones, I think that was fun. And then to answer your question about favorite place to travel, I thought that West Coast trips are always fun because we got an extra day.
Yeah.
So I didn't really have a favorite place that like we traveled to for any particular reason. But I liked going West Coast because you had Friday night with the guys and then pretty much all day Saturday to just hang.
That was going to be my next little. We talked a little bit about this with JJ, like how there's nothing better than watching ball, just hanging with the guys in the meal room, and having that extra day was always fun.
Well, yeah, you had the whole day where they just had that meal room set up with a giant TV and a couple extra TVs and just food and like drinks and water and all kinds of sweet stuff. And you could just sit there and hang out and guys would just come and go and you just watch ball all day.
Yeah, no doubt. Okay, toughest quarterback in your career to prep for?
I think Drew. I think, we played Brady and we played Brady and Aaron Rodgers and, all those guys, and they were obviously fantastic, but I think we got spoiled playing against Drew as much as we did. And I think, you could definitely put Matt in that category too, but I think the thing that separated Drew from a lot of those other guys was that him and Sean were together the whole time. So from the moment I got there, and even obviously previous to when I got there, it was Sean and Drew. So by the time I got there and halfway through my career, they'd been together for 10 years, and they knew what each other liked. They knew what they didn't like. They knew how to scheme people up. That's what made it so difficult, is because those guys are on the same page with everything. And so I think it's one thing for there to be an elite quarterback that is really good and smart and whatever you want, but it was the NFC version of that was Drew. Like the AFC version of that was Brady and Josh. So that's one of the reasons I think it was so difficult, was they knew us, we knew them, and Drew and Sean were on such a similar page.
All right, next one. Who's your favorite player growing up?
Oh man, I loved Brian Dawkins. I loved Derek Brooks. I love Brian Urlacher, Ray Lewis, just defensive
always
players.
Defense for you.
Yeah. I like the offensive guys, but I liked the energy, like guys that like Dawkins brought. Like that dude, you could just tell, and all those guys that fight loved football, you know?
Absolutely.
That was a huge deal for me. Like guys that loved the game of football just made it so fun.
They were just monsters, and then the prima donnas go play wide receiver, typically.
Yeah.
No doubt. Favorite coach?
I mean, I think that was one thing I'll tell you that I was spoiled with in my football career. I had great coaches literally at every level that in grade school, Kevin Harris and Ralph Perdix were our coaches. We had Steve Specht was at St. X, and then Bill McGovern was my defense coordinator, linebacker coach at BC, and then linebacker coaches and Ron and Sean and Al and Steve Russ, and those guys were fantastic. Warren Beelan was my rookie year coach. I was very lucky to have those guys.
You got to pick one.
Oh,
Politician.
I love Al. Al's my guy.
All right.
Yeah. We had we had Wilksy too. We were stacked. We were stacked from an offense. We just stacked from a coaching perspective. I think I was just very fortunate to have all those guys there.
All right. Bonus dime. That was our 10th. This will be the 11th because I wanted to ask. We know that you're a big hunter. So what's your favorite thing or animal to hunt?
I love to bow hunt. So I love whitetail. Whitetail is awesome. And the thing, I like elk hunting too, but whitetail is a little bit more accessible for me because I can do it here. I've got buddies that have places in other spots, and a lot of the areas that we hunt, you don't need tags. You don't need to do lottery. It's kind of all year. I'm sorry, all fall, really all season, versus elk hunting where it's like you kind of just get a week a year to go do it and just a little bit more difficult. But I love the bow hunting side of it. It's super fun. It's a game. You got to do everything right. You got to be in the right spot. You got to make a good shot. You got to be in shape. You got to make sure that you're practicing shooting. You got to wait for the right deer to come by. Everything. It's really a hunt rather than, you're not just going to go sit out there and shoot something, right? Like I want it to be challenging. I want it to be difficult. I like the pursuit of the animal. I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
So
good answer.
That ends the dime sesh.
That concludes the dime sesh. All right, real quick. It is my turn to ask trivia questions this week. So I got some Panthers / Charlotte themed trivia for you guys.
Luke, we're working together. I don't know.
You guys, this will be quick.
Cool.
All right.
First Panthers draft pick ever.
Do you know this one? First
round pick in 95. I should know this. I'm going to say Tishmunga, but I don't remember if he was 95 or 96 or even
wasn't it Kerry Collins?
Bingo. Kerry Collins. 1 point for Luke.
He was 95.
What's that? Yeah.
I don't know why I thought he was the second year.
Biaka Patuka was the second year because Kerry was the first guy that we drafted, right?
Yeah,
well,
that is correct.
Yeah, it was him. Yeah.
Okay, what round was mentor to Britain Steve Smith drafted in?
Burst, come on, you got to know that one.
I think it was the second.
Just one.
I think he was a
third
round pick, right, Bert? Right, Glanch?
He was the third. Yeah.
Glanch, you got to let us talk because we have to discuss.
He just wants to just kill us before anything happens.
Oh, I just like it whenever you get it wrong. Most passing yards in a season in Panthers history.
I think that's Ace Boog, right? Because he had 4,000.
Was it his rookie year?
It's 4,000 something, right?
His rookie year in 11, right?
That's what I'm going to go with.
Could be Jake Delhomme, but he may have had. Let's go with Ace Boog in 11.
Wrong. Steve Berline.
No way.
Steve Berline. How much?
Wow.
I didn't do any further research on that one. Okay.
96. Was it the year they made the NFC Championship? Or?
Must have been, yeah. Okay. How many? This one's going to be more of just this is not really a fact here, but more of just an interesting little trivia question. It happened in Luke's rookie year.
Okay.
How many both y'all's rookie year. How many coin tosses did the Panthers lose in a row in 2012?
8.
I was cut. I wasn't part of that team.
13.
Oh my gosh.
Do you know what the odds of that are?
Ask JJ.
13 factorial. No. 0.5 times 0.5 to the
1 in 8,192.
That's too much math for me, Garrett.
Yeah.
You know that.
1 over
Okay.
2 to the 13th.
Last question. Sure, buddy. Whatever
I don't know.
you say. Last question. Does anyone know? This is a Charlotte Hornets trivia question. Does anyone know where the significance of the Charlotte Hornets name comes from?
First,
I
you
don't-
should know that.
Yeah, I don't know the war or whatever, but it was like militia or whatever that was located here that were so badass that they would attack people like hornets.
Yeah, it said it was like raiding a hornet's nest coming
Yep,
through
you
Charlotte.
are correct. That was
What was the war?
It was the Revolutionary War. British General Cornwallis marched the troops into Charlotte and got stamped out
Got dealt with.
because they got dealt with.
Let's go. Charlotte Hornets,
Um,
baby.
and
That
that
should be-
concludes the trivia questions of the week.
Dang.
We didn't-
I thought that was pretty good. You guys did pretty good. I mean,
Uh,
I know I didn't let you answer a lot for one of them.
Luke
but
knew more than I did about the Panthers.
Cultured.
you gotta
Cultured.
get your
Brian.
game- Luke is cultured, and Luke wasn't even born here. You got to get your game right, bro.
I will say, Smitty, was it like, I forget when they drafted. Was that after the 1 in 15? Like they were really bad, or was it his rookie year that they went 1 in 15?
Who? Smitty's?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they. I know he returned the opening kickoff of the season to the house against the Vikings, and they won.
You asking
Then
the wrong dude.
They lost 15 in a row. They sucked. But Smitty's a dog. Sorry, Smitty, for getting that wrong.
Last segment of the day.
All right, fan mail.
Okay, fan mail hit me.
We got a couple good ones. All right, this one, I'll start it out, Glanch. This one is from Nate from Ohio. It's not even really a question. It just says, someone told me, or I heard, how you kicked some kid's ass in college because he demolished your igloo. Care to expand?
I wonder what Nate this is. You guys get this from Nate?
Yeah, all these are from Nate and the boys. I know you got to go. We can talk about it at some other point. There's like
we'll get you
20 of
you
these.
back on sometime, Luke, as long as you're willing to deal with that guy.
Yeah.
Man, we appreciate you coming on, Luke. Thanks so much. It was awesome getting to hear from you. The one of, if not the best to ever play, and the smartest teammate I've ever had. Luke, thank you so much for coming on.
All right, dude.
This
Whoa.
has been the Never Beens.
Get good coaches, young bloods up.
Second smartest. That he's
In the
done.
recording, dummy.